picked her up. The FBI picked her up, and when they picked up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they picked her up. All the top people, the laborers, yeah, they called them. And she was ill at the time, and with a very, very bad cold from, I think, running from the FBI trying to save the property of the temple. And they put her in the outside hospital, portable buildings, because she had TB. And she had gone into the extreme, and she died a few days later after they picked her up. She wasn't there very long before she died. She was in very bad condition. And she was a beautiful secretary. I did some of her work when she died. I took over her books.
Oh, okay.
And her labor, really. And I saw how good a bookkeeper and secretary she really was. And if I can get it together there, I think she had one son, but I never saw the child. Her sisters took the son and raised him, I imagine, after she died. But they wouldn't let us have her body. They wanted to bury her. So we didn't fight over it, but we didn't know too much about anything really at that time, about even how Muslims do anything.
Okay, I got you.
We were very young. And Sister Dorothy was captain of the sisters, and her husband, Brother Johnny, was the captain over the brothers. He was, I think you call him captain over the brothers. And they had 2 children when they came into the religion, but later they had 2 more children.
If I knew you was here, sister, I would have brought my exhibits from D.C. to show the early Muslims of D.C.
Yes.
So you could see some of them and give us some understanding.
I would know that.
Because I remember when Elijah Muhammad went to jail, they brought Sultan down from
Brother Sultan came down.
Milwaukee.
Right, and he stayed there for a couple of years, I think, or more, until the Imam, Elijah Muhammad, got out of jail.
Right.
And he stayed there, and
because that's where he was in the Washington D.C. area.
Yeah, it was in Georgetown, mostly where he was.
Okay.
We were in Georgetown at the time.
And then I read a book, Carter G. Woodson, when the temple was on 9th Street.
And I saw Carter G. Woodson right across the street.
Right, he lived right across the street.
He had a bookstore, and he was just moving in and getting the book straight. He was standing out there one day in the sun, and I was coming out of the little, used to be a beauty shop. We had made it into a temple. And I looked at him, and I knew who he was. He didn't know me because I was just an ordinary person, but I'd gone to school there. And he used to speak to the auditorium. And I knew him, Carter G. Woodson. I knew he was important, but I was not a good person for that. I just kept going, thinking he may call me. He might, being older, would do that, but he didn't. He just stared at me. And as I kept going, I glanced.
There's an article in Brother Benjamin's book that he talked about the early history of Muslim in Washington, D.C.
In Brother Benjamin's book?
Yes, he has a newspaper article where Carter G. Woodson wrote that he used to watch the Muslims go into the temple service across the street.
Oh, yes. And also there was a woman named Madam
C. Walker?
No. She was a soprano singer. She was a singer.
I think I know you're talking about.
Lillian Evanti.
Okay.
I went to school with her son. I knew, that, but didn't know them personally. She married a lawyer, I believe, and her son became a lawyer. But she was a singer. She came to the temple one night, one dreary night. Elijah Muhammad was in jail. She sat in the back. Sister Dorothy was captain. We sat together, and I was acting as a secretary at the time. And
now, secretary kept records and the finance at the time?
And books, kept the books for the months and the years. And we made statements and sent them in, all that kind of thing. Weekly, monthly, and yearly. Sister Dorothy and I used to do the yearly together.
Okay.
And Dorothy my sister used to be a teacher. We had our own school too. And one of my another sister was a teacher also.
Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute.
of the of that era, and in the 40s and earlier, were all that righteous or all that spiritual. It was more that they were more against what the white man was doing to black people. Because when I came in, my idea was the uplift of the black man from what I heard their teaching was about. And meeting this man who's bold enough to say what I had in my heart, and that's what made me come in. And I wanted something done, didn't know what we would be up against. We were blind, really truly blind about what we were into, and the words were given just struck a thing in our hearts because we knew that it was true.
Right.
And so I wanted to see what the end was going to be, and I wanted to be with it. That's why I was in there.
Okay.
That's why I'm in there now. And I was also searching later when I learned there was God in it. See, I didn't come in under anything about God. I didn't know it was anything about God until I got in there. Then after a time, he started teaching us about this man teaching. Then he started teaching us about the religion and the Quran and things like that he respected and kept in high places with him.
Right.
And he used that for courts and things that he would read it before he had a court, And he would be teaching us sort of like a I don't know what you would foreman, sort of what you would call it, person over people,
Okay.
You would do certain way. He had laws and different things.
That's right. The moral codes: do not steal, do not backbite, don't slander.
Yes, he would have those things that you couldn't do. You couldn't. If you did it, you'd get punished for it. It wasn't a thing that would wait. If it was, he'd tackle it right then.
That's right. That's right.
So that kept us straight too, I guess, because we just came out of the streets. Most of us came out of the street. And I met them as I was a singer at the time, and I would be singing, and that's how I got the word, flyers.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to a
one
rehearsal.
of the church meetings that he had?
Rehearsal. It wasn't about churches at all. It was a man who was having a big show at the Lincoln Theater there, and he wanted people who had talent. And I heard about it from a foreman whose name was Brother. What's his name? He's dead now. He used to be over foreman. He was Dorothy's brother-in-law who married her sister, Verena's husband. That's who he was. Verena's husband. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he had a forum going on, and he had followed down to Elijah Muhammad into his religion, and was going around doing his forum idea into the religion, and that's how I got word from it. And I was walking by these people who were talking Islam, and this brother who was talking to his brother Elmer Carroll. He was standing there, and these men were making fun of him. And I'm just a pretty little girl going by, getting ready to pass by him, and they stopped me, and he gave me a flyer. So they laughed at him, and I said, and I said to them, "Don't laugh." I said, "You don't know what you." I made a remark and kept walking about their laughter about it. I can't remember exactly what I said, but what I said stopped them, and I kept on going because it was just showing off for a young girl going by. I was about 19 years old. And I was going to this rehearsal. I didn't know that people who were following him didn't know anything about that in that way. It just happened that I was talking to my mother and learned about that she had heard it. She and my sister and my father heard about this man, and I got this flyer and was very interested in it. And I was telling her about it. She said, "Oh, I've been knowing him." That upset me, that they knew and didn't tell me. But they probably thought I'd go to hell, be one of those go to hell. So I said, I got a paper upstairs. I said, I've been saving, trying to get somebody to take me to hear him. So she said, I'll take you. So she took me. I let them know that's what I wanted to do, but I was getting out there in the streets. I had a bad marriage, and I was grieving over it, and I also was not being perfect.
I thought you just gonna have the voice.
No, I'm sorry. Your name, sister?
Sister Rashida.
The year you was born?
1924.
Alhamdulillah. And the year you joined the Nation of Islam?
I can't remember the exact year. I could if I sit down and figured it out, but right off the top of my head, I don't remember.
But your mother...
It was when the war broke out in when did Pearl Harbor?
Okay, what, in the 40s?
It must have been. It was in the 40s. I don't remember what year.
Okay, in the mid 40s.
Before Pearl Harbor.
You went to.
We was in the temple when the newspapers came out that they had struck Pearl Harbor. We were sitting in the
temple. Was it on 9th Street
on 9th
or on?
Street, exactly.
Okay, so you're one of the early beginnings because the beginning temple, the first temple was on 9th Street.
Well, that's where we were.
Oh, okay.
I remember Elijah Muhammad used to go in the back and stir up the furnace and make a fire before the meeting.
Wow. You know if Honorable Elijah Muhammad ever met or ever talked about meeting Carter G. Woodson? Because Carter G. Woodson had lived across the street. There was like a bookstore that used to be across the street or right around the temple time.
I don't remember that.
Okay. And then so you was here when Minister Sultan was here.
Yes.
Any experiences or things you'd like to share with us with that?
Oh. They used to, the brothers used to, I call the FOI, used to march him in when he'd walk down to the podium to speak.
Okay.
Back in those days, we had a lot of dinners in our home after the service where we would talk over Islam, bring in new members.
Okay. So you was there when they used to have like this, before they even had going on 9th Street? Do you recall that? Like when they used to go to Brother Benjamin? Yeah, Brother Benjamin Homes, at a couple of churches on L Street. And then they had like a storefront on R Street early on in Northwest. You remember any of those?
I heard about it.
Okay.
But when I first went, it was on 9th Street.
Okay. So then you was in before Honorable Elijah Muhammad and them got arrested for
yes.
draft invasion.
Yes, so my father was the one that was arrested also.
Okay.
Charles X, he was arrested for, they call it draft evasion.
Yes. And did he go to Petersburg or did they go out to Milan?
He went to, I don't think he went to Petersburg.
He was out in the Midwest somewhere?
I can't remember where he went now.
Was he when Elijah Muhammad and the rest of them was?
He wasn't with them.
Okay,
no.
Okay. Now, when they got arrested, do you recall who was the minister then? Who took over being the minister then? Or did Sultan stay?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I really can't.
What minister do you remember besides Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I remember, this Devad we used to call him, must be David was his name.
Okay.
Brother David, I remember him.
Okay.
And then when Brother Sultan came, and then I remember Brother Lucius came. And Brother Malcolm would come here to visit, but he was officially in New York. And but Brother David, I remember him.
Okay.
He used to be the minister here.
Okay, after right after Elijah Muhammad was okay, and this was before Sultan came.
Yes.
Okay. Any pictures or anybody else you remember being around that time? The only other, you're the third person I've talked with. You, Sister Basima, and a sister now named is she lives in Seattle, Washington. Her Muslim name is Nadira, and her
My
name.
sister lives in Seattle, Washington. Sister.
Her name used to be Halima. But it used to be a niece, or she used to sing.
And she have a daughter named Manaima.
She used to be the secretary after when they got arrested?
Sister Halima was a secretary.
So her name is Halima?
Halima.
And she lives out in
Helena
Seattle?
Karim. She lives in Seattle now.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna show you this picture. Make sure that if that was her. I interviewed her.
Did you? Helena Karim.
I thought her name was Anise. She said she was when Elijah Muhammad got arrested. Sister Dorothy got arrested. Not Sister Dorothy got arrested. The sister that was the secretary at the time.
Well, my mother was arrested at the same time as Sister Verena for children out of school.
Oh, okay,
my mother was one, Sister Evelyn. Her
the picture that
right
you
there.
allowed us. Okay, okay.
Yeah, she was arrested in prison 5 days.
In 5 days for teaching the children,
keeping them out of the
school system, but teaching them University of Islam.
Right.
And that was on 9th Street, the university at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so when you are the early pioneers,
yes.
your mother then paid the dues for people to educate. These are the pioneer days, before these charter schools and homeschooling came. Y'all paved the way, for many school systems that exist today.
I realize that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
I just wish I could remember, because I'm 85 now, and this didn't happen yesterday.
Right. No, for sure. No, it's a blessing, Sister Rashida.
I used to go to Chicago. I stayed in Elijah Muhammad's home.
Okay.
Just about every time we went up there, he would always send a brother with a car to pick us up at the train station and bring us to his home, where he would feed us, and then we would we would go to other people would keep us,
Right.
But usually when I went, I stayed right there with his daughters, Lydia and Ethel.
Oh, okay.
Stayed right in the home with them.
Okay. Because y'all family was special. Y'all was pioneers with him. Helped build it.
Right.
The community going. Wow, I feel blessed. Thank you for allowing me into your home. You and your husband, Brother Paul.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Secretary here in Washington, D.C. in the area.
That's right.
And she met up with the Elijah Muhammad on the train. They made friendship on the train.
Oh, okay.
And then she had a baby. She had a baby, like an unmarried mother with a baby. And guess what? They took rooming at my grandmother's house.
Wow. Well,
she was a roomer at my grandmother's house.
Wow.
Her name, my grandmother, was Bertha Muse. She never became a Muslim.
Okay.
My grandmother never did.
Where was that house?
We lived on 10th Street, Northwest.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you remember the captain at that time? Was her name Sister Dorothy?
Of the Muslim women, was Sister Dorothy was our first captain.
Okay.
Sister Dorothy. Her husband, Brother Johnny, was when he passed, he was Brother Yahya. I think that was his name.
That's the one that lived on
his holy name.
And he lived on Staple Street. He lived in the house on Staple Street in Washington D.C.
Yes.
Okay, so it was his wife that was the first captain.
Sister Dorothy.
And then Sister Carrie after her.
Sister Carrie. I don't know whether was Sister Carrie captain. She might have been.
Okay.
She was very active, I know.
Sister Dorothy, Brother Yahya.
Yes.
So Yahya was a captain twice or sometime? One time and then sat down and became a captain again, or just that one time? The first time? You don't know? Okay.
Go into all that.
I was about 5 years old. I was born 42. So, my mother.
That's his mother. Yeah?
Yeah, that's I'm his mother. They sometimes think we're sisters and brothers, but we're not.
And that was definitely a family resemblance.
Oh,
I mean, that tripped me out.
Yo, I want you to take that picture. I'm doing a movie. This is a video now. So grab it and point yourself out again.
I found out who had the picture. I don't know
I do.
Y'all remember some of the other brothers. I know you remember them brothers right there. Like you them brothers, you remember. You remember them brothers right there?
Yeah, those are the brothers I came
That
in
is
here
this
with.
young man
This is my
now.
uncle right. This is my uncle right here. Uncle Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy.
You was your uncle?
Right there. Uncle Jimmy.
He's dead.
Yeah, he's doggone.
Uncle Jimmy.
But my goodness, as I look
There's
through
some
here,
early Muslim pioneers in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Washington, D.C.
Temple number 4. I was in George. We were
In Georgetown.
Dunbarton Avenue. 28th
Dunbarton
and Dunbarton Avenue.
We were on 7th Street. on 9th Street.
Remember that?
That's Brother Jake right there. Huh?
Remember that?
Jake, Mr.
Is that Brother Jake?
Brother Jake. Mr. Big Mouth?
Yeah.
Omar Abdul Akbar Haytham Campbell.
And who are you? Who's your family? Where do you come from?
Sir,
Who's your family? When did you come into the Nation of Islam?
when I came,
Yes. A member.
probably 1946,
1946.
something like that. I remember I was 6 years old.
You were 6 years old. And your grandfather was what? Who?
Brother Charles
Brother Charles. Who? Brother?
X, or his name was Abdul Kareem.
Oh, never heard of his name. And he was one of the, my understanding, he was one
He
of
was
the
one of the first
followers. And your family, I've
in my
understood.
family, yes. He said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught them how to cook at my house, my grandmother's house.
At your grandmother's house.
And this was one of the meeting places.
Now show me who's your grandfather at in this picture right
My
here.
grandfather's on the end. Brother Charles.
This Brother Charles. And these are some of the early followers. And point out you. Who's
Yes.
you? Point the finger at you as a child. That's you right there.
Right there.
And these are some of the early followers of Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
Okay, and his sister was one of the second secretaries or the treasurer for the temple.
My aunt.
Your aunt. You're
And the
correct.
one in Chicago was the first superintendent of school. She was director of schools.
Oh.
University of Islam.
Now her name?
It was called the University of Islam
Okay, and
before they named them.
And your aunt
Clara
name
Muhammad.
is?
Her name is which aunt is this? My job was to secure the governor. 3 governors I think I've had. And one I think I had the security for President Clinton when he came in Alabama.
How did you get
But I
this?
learned it from the Nation of Islam, my security training. And I have to give credit where credit is due. So they taught us well.
So he's from the
And we
Nation of
didn't
Islam.
have
security.
weapons. We didn't have weapons. But we never had a problem either. You know, because we were serious.
There you go.
You know, a brother was a brother. If I walk down the street with you, I can depend on you. Now I don't know what I can depend on or not. You know, I don't want to trust my life with somebody out here. But back, they taught us. They disciplined us. Those are the kind of things that I learned in the Nation of Islam. And I'm moving on to the religious aspect of it. Islam, being a Muslim. And we moved on into that phase of it. But the first phase of it was very important to us. You know, all this killing and stuff you see around here now, we didn't have that. You know, you couldn't stay in our community with a weapon at your house. We found out you had a weapon at your house, we dismissed you from the community. You know, so we didn't worry about black folks killing each other because we had no guns.
Still. So
We took care of business when we had to.
So was it like any type of weapon, like you could
Any kind of, no weapons, no weapons.
Nothing.
We did not break the law. That was breaking the law. You had any kind of weapon. You didn't want to give the establishment a reason to attack us. Because we were low-abiding people. And this is what we need to go back to.
And I see you have an outfit on.
Huh?
Tuskegee.
Yeah, I live in Tuskegee.
Okay.
Yeah.
You was part of being the Tuskegee Airmen?
I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
The person that trained the airmen was a personal friend of mine, Chief Anderson.
Yeah.
He was never in the military, but what he did was he flew the then president of the United States' wife. He took her for a flight, and that proved that black folks could fly. And they started to test the airman from that. This is Chief Anderson. So we trained a lot of black folks.
Any last words of wisdom you'd like to say to the YouTube people out there in the world?
So,
Anything you'd like to share with the general public? Because this is going to go on YouTube.
other than we need to get ourselves together. We don't need to be fighting, killing each other. And we don't have to talk about somebody else to do that. We have to just talk about ourselves. How do we treat each other, you know, and be good friends to each other.
Okay.
Family is family.
And so I want to repeat, you are a third generation of Muslims that came out of the Nation of Islam from Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
Your grandfather joined them in the 30s.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily Elijah Muhammad. It's just
Islam.
Islam now.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but those things that we learned under him will help us.
Yes.
Today, if we follow through on
And your aunts and everybody else was also engaged in the early development of the Nation of Islam
Yes.
in the DC area. And then they followed the Sunnah when they made that turn.
Muslims are peaceful. You know, we only do what we have to do when we're forced to do it.
Okay, alhamdulillah. And your age, Brother Omar, if you don't mind.
Sir,
Your age, if you don't mind.
I'm 77.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
And once
And
again,
my mother birthday was yesterday.
wow.
She was 94. The sister in Chicago that you talked about.
Okay.
She's 97. Rashida, I think, is 90. She might be 92 or 93.
When I came in under Isaiah and Brother Chrissy. Then Sultan came. Okay, then we got Brother Herbert and Sister Florence. Brother Herbert didn't nobody mess with. That man's hand was big as anybody's head. We got Brother Charles and Sister Elder. That's Sister Blanche on our street, mother and father. Then we had John 12X. And James FX, who was my father-in-law, and Sister Mamie. Then we had Brother Jacob and Sister Zelma. Brother Elmer and Sister Karen. The house over on Staple Street is the one Brother Elmer and Sister Karen used to own. Elijah Muhammad bought it from them and moved them to Phoenix when he built the house in Phoenix. Loudest voice in the house, Sister Beatrice.
I got to descend.
His son was Clarence, Lomax, Roscoe Lomax, Johnny Lomax, Sister Shirley, Gloria,
Don't go far.
Martha, Brother Johnny, and Tommy. Okay. Next we had Sister Elizabeth back. She was a big sister too. Beautiful sister. Then we can't forget Brother Benson. Brother Benson, the father of Brother Wali Muhammad, the married Sister Raya Muhammad. His pictures are on the board. All right, we had Brother Lawrence. What was his wife?
Your name, my brother?
Wally Hill,
And when did you come into the community?
1948,
1948. In Baltimore area?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Who was the first brother to help find Baltimore?
I didn't hear
Who was the
it.
first brother to help find Baltimore?
Brother, his name is Brother Charles Leakings.
You known as Brother Charles Rashid there?
Yeah, Charles Rashid.
That was 45?
1945.
And when,
He started it, the first temple in 1945.
do you know how many times Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to Baltimore during that period of time?
I remember 3 times.
3 times. Anything special you'd like to express? Or you can remember with him?
No, nothing special.
Have you ever helped start, and when did y'all get your temple number?
We got our temple number in 1952.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
How many members was there at that time, you remember?
Approximately 20.
Okay, okay.
20.
And where was y'all at, the first temple?
First temple was on the corner of Enza and Monument Street in East Baltimore.
And what was the second one?
The second one was Pennsylvania Avenue and Green Willow Street.
And who was the first minister?
The first minister was Brother James Shabazz.
Oh, the Son of Thunder.
The Son of Thunder.
Helped establish this. Out of Washington? He was in Washington, D.C.
He was in Washington, D.C.
And then after him was
Isaiah
Kareem.
Yes.
How long did Son of Thunder stay?
Son of Thunder, I guess he was the minister about, I don't even remember how many years. I think it was maybe 5 or 6, and then he went to prison.
Okay.
And I don't remember the year that he went to prison. I wish I had thought of it. I maybe could have gotten the correct year.
Right.
Yeah, but he went to prison from Baltimore, and when he came back, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sent him to Newark, New Jersey, and we kept and let Isaiah stay here.
Okay.
In Baltimore,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you experience Sultan, Minister Sultan?
I met Minister Sultan, but he was the minister in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And that's the Mother Temple of Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah, Washington, D.C., a lot of brothers. They had a lot of ministers that came, and that's how we got James and Isaiah.
Okay.
We asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for them when they came.
Thank you, my brother. Alhamdulillah. How old are you?
I'm 86.
Alhamdulillah. How long you been a member?
Since 1948. I guess that's almost 58 years.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Your name is Sister Basima?
Yes.
Basima what?
Basima Biyah.
And sister, you came into the Nation of Islam when?
In 1949.
1949.
Yes.
Here in Washington, D.C. area?
Washington, D.C. on Dunbarton Avenue in Georgetown, 28th and Dunbarton Avenue. That's where our temple was then.
Okay. Who was the minister at the time?
At the time, it was Minister Sultan Muhammad.
Okay, that's the minister that was taught by Farad
Muhammad, yes.
And he came down here to when Elijah Muhammad went to jail?
Yes, and he was the man at that time.
Wow, how was he as a teacher?
He was very good. Many things I didn't understand at that time, but he was a very good teacher.
Okay. Was there any other brothers around that was taught by Farad Muhammad during that time?
No, not at that time. He was the oldest one here, and he was from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, and I learned that he taught a lot of brothers like Isaiah Kareem.
Jake, Brother Jake Nippel, and a lot of the old brothers, they have passed on.
Yeah, the Son of Thunder, I understood, came out of this temple.
Yes. Sheikh Abba Sharif.
Okay.
Brother Elmore. There's a lot of old brothers, but they all have passed on.
Right.
Yeah.
And even a brother named Wali, I believe, did the blackboard.
Yes.
He's the one that
Wali
drew up the blackboard.
Brother Wali Muhammad. His father was Brother Vincent.
Okay.
And his sister was Dorothy and Verena Muhammad.
Okay.
Yes.
How was it like being in the nation then?
Well, it was hard, but if you understood Islam, because we used to wear our long dresses and the people used to laugh at us and call us gypsies and poke fun of us, but we were proud because we had a teaching that was teaching us how to dress and how to be more than women's. And we were proud of our long dresses and whatnot.
Okay. My understanding that a lot of the brothers from here, they helped start a lot of the temples. Like they helped start Baltimore, Richmond,
some portion in North Carolina.
Right, Raleigh and Durham.
They were called field ministers.
Okay.
They would go out in the field and teach.
Okay. And then the next minister, one of them was Lucius Bey. Now,
Lucius Biyah, he was our minister here. He was, at first, he was a Seventh-day Adventist preacher. He was very knowledgeable of the Bible, and he taught Islam, and you could understand it. He was real plain, very easy to understand, very humble, very submissive, and very good with the beliefs here.
Okay. So really, Mosque number 4 really played a really crucial role.
Very, very, very important part. You know, I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say on occasion that number 4 was the square mosque. Number 4. You know.
Okay.
And he really depended on number 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of editors came up out of number 4, Child 57.
Yes.
Imam Kashif, Wali Akbar, I believe, or Wali Muhammad.
Yes.
Came up out. About 4 or 5 of them came up out of here.
Yes.
I know the Blackboard, a few other things that DC contribute.
Yes, and at that point we had the Blackboard you're speaking of. It had 2 signs. It had the American flag and it had the flag of Islam, which was the crest and the star.
Right.
And under the flag of Islam, it had freedom, justice, and equality, Islam.
That's right.
And under the American flag, it was slavery, suffering, death, Christianity. And that what really changed my mind, you know, because I was always religious, and then after I saw that, I asked a lot of questions, and I got very good answers, and I could understand, you know, and then knowing the history of slavery, I didn't link it with Christianity then, but then after I learned that, then I started studying that.
Okay.
And it brought tears to my eyes, you know, how we were treated.
Right. Alhamdulillah. Anything else you want to say or leave, some passing words?
And we had, at that time, it wasn't a lot of people that was educated.
Okay.
The paper even wrote that the people that was following Elijah Muhammad was the low illiterate people, uneducated. And I thought that was great because anytime a man could take people from the alley and the street and raise them up to be respectable citizens and clean and decent people, I thought that was a great man.
That's right. He's known as a maker of men.
A maker of men. And at that time when Muhammad Ali came into the Nation of Islam, he was Cassius Clay then, and they were saying that, well, people like Cassius Clay was ignorant, you know, and he would follow somebody like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
But I think that was a blessing from God, you know, for somebody to grasp the message that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had.
And present it to the world. Muhammad Ali presented to the world, made a lot of Muslims realize and come dignified.
All over the world.
That's right. That's right.
And like Malcolm X, all of them came under that.
That's right. Wallace D. Muhammad, that's right.
Came right at the masthead, number 4.
That's right. Malcolm was a minister at one time, right?
Yes.
For a short period of time, right?
For a short period. And we had classes. We were taught. In our class, it was the MGT and the GCC, meaning Muslim Girls Training and General Civilization class. And in this class, we was taught how to keep house, how to rear our children, how to take care of our husband, how to cook, and how to sew, and how to act at home and abroad. And this was taught, and we had to put these into practice. You know, we didn't have children. I mean, we took time with our children. They had classes. We taught them. I have really enjoyed Islam, and now, being the age I am, I was 20 years old when I came in, and now I'm 79.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
And I can really appreciate, and I thank Allah because I can still go and do for myself and think, which is a blessing from Allah.
That's right.
Brother, you don't realize some of the things that I can do now at my age that many people much younger than me cannot do. And I just know that is a blessing from Allah through the teaching of Islam.
Thank you, Sister Basim.
Alhamdulillah.
Stephanie, talk to me. You can talk on the mic. He'll hear you. What's your name? How old are you? What year you was born? 1924. When did you come into the Nation of Islam?
1952.
1952? How did you come in? What made you come in?
Well, through Brother Alexander.
Daniel. Alexander. Okay.
Yeah, he was married to my sister, of course.
Okay.
And I heard from him. And also, through some people I was working for helped me also.
What did he do? What type of work did he do? You said you worked for him.
I worked for them. I was cooking.
Oh.
But after the house, not as a house. I didn't do. I guess you call it maid.
Okay, domestic work. My parents used to do domestic work. Okay. Talking about that, then I heard that you also used to cook for Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Is that true? Okay.
Wait a minute.
Now,
I'm coming in.
I had asked you before earlier that they said that you used to cook for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Clara Muhammad?
Yes.
Yeah, when and where?
They were here. They was in the 60s.
In the 60s.
After we came over here, because I came in on Dunbar Avenue.
Okay.
But then we went from Dunbarton to Vermont Avenue.
Okay.
From Vermont Avenue to 5th Street Northeast.
Okay.
And then in 59, we started building this map.
In 59. Okay. Alhamdulillah. And that was under Lucius Bag.
Yeah.
Now,
And that's how I managed to get the cook for him.
Okay. Did you, anything else? Did you hold any position in the masjid? At the mosque at the time?
I have been everything in the sisters' mosque except captain.
Oh, okay. Treasurer, secretary, lieutenant?
I was president for 5 years under Margaret.
Okay.
And then I was teacher, emergency secretary department.
Okay.
But you know what we do.
Now, what are some of the benefits, or what you see that you appreciate by being a Muslim for so long in the United States?
What's some of the benefits? There's so many, so numerous, But go back to the cooking. I cooked for, like, they were coming here, we would cook for the family.
Okay.
But I mainly cooked for Sister Clara.
Oh, okay.
I made her, anytime she came, she wanted me to make her bread.
Yeah.
I had to make her bread for her.
So she liked your bread?
Yes.
It's Clara Muhammad. Okay.
Whole wheat rolls.
All right.
And because by doing so, all of the family has had, except Imam WD, has eaten in my president.
Okay. All right. So that's an honor. You're honored. Okay. Anything else you'd like to share with the Muslim world and the public in closing?
Well, I'm just happy to be Muslim.
Yes.
Because it has given me so many benefits, and actually what I wanted to be was a professional dancer.
Oh, okay.
But here in Islam, it just changed all that away from me.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was a cook at the kitchen.
Now, what social work or social activities did the sisters do to look out for each other? Since there was no welfare, they had to work and take care of themselves.
Mainly, we did domestic work.
Okay.
It was prescribed that we did, that the sisters, unless they had some kind of professional, regular job to do like days work. That would keep us away from the cooking of the food and stuff. So we just cleaned the house and stuff like that.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to say that I didn't ask?
It's so much I can see. Oh yeah, I have another. I was also blessed to meet Mother Marie.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's Honorable Elijah Muhammad's mother. Yes.
I met her the first time I went to Chicago.
Okay. All right, that's a blessing. Thank you, Sister Ethel Omar.
Okay.
Together now. What
Like when did you come in?
I came in the nation with
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Your name?
Manuel Salim.
And how old are you?
74.
And when did you come into the Nation Islam?
1957.
57. Wow. How was that experience?
Brother, it was a beautiful experience. So much so, Allah blessed me to be here today. And it fitted me like a suit. Because what I was doing out there, brother, is unbelievable. But all praise be to Allah. Allah bless me.
Now, I know it had to be real hard at those times, you know, as far as being a Muslim in the United States. And a lot of people didn't know Islam or understand what Muslims was and that experience. And then I also understood that y'all in here, Washington, D.C., helped start a lot of the temples around the country.
That's right, brother. We did, because that was mostly our assignment. And Muhammad Speak came in and played a great role, too. And I was fortunate to be here when this masjid was built from the ground up. We used to stand posts.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
What's your name, my sister?
Labiba Salam.
When did you come into the Nation Islam?
I came in the summer, I think it was around Easter, in 1956.
1956. All right. The year you was born?
I was born April the 7th, 29.
1929. Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
And how was your experience joining the Nation Islam at that time?
Well, at that time, my husband had been in for quite a few years, and I came in after him. He brought me in, really. It took me quite a while for me to get myself situated that I was interested in believing what I heard.
I got you.
So I checked it out, and I made one visit, and I decided that I might want to go back for another visit. And the third visit really got me. And I was very interested in hearing, because you couldn't hear so much because they had the drop-back meeting, and I can go in the meeting and find out what was going on.
Oh, okay.
So I was curious of why it was such a secret thing.
Right.
And I decided I would go on. And I learned that you had to write a letter if you joined the Nation. So I decided I was going to write my letter, and I did. I got the letter, and I wrote my letter, and it passed the first time.
First time.
Because I was very interested in it. So after that, I came on in, and I began to come to. And it wasn't too long when Sister Memphis had told me she wanted me to work with her, and which she wanted me to be her lieutenant, because then they had captains and lieutenants. So I told her yes, and I worked quite a while with Sister Memphis. And after Sister Memphis, I was still a lieutenant with Sister Portia Bashar.
Okay.
And after Portia, with being lieutenant with Sister Portia Bashar, she was actually come to Chicago, and she came back and told me that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says I would be the captain.
Okay.
Because she told him she was the captain.
Right.
So after that, I was made captain, and that was really a challenging job. So you had to do a lot of studying, because we had assembly every Saturday. We had our MGT and GCC classes, and that was very interesting. And of course, then I had to get sisters to work with me as lieutenants, and then we began to split up into groups, and we had with certain ages of groups.
Oh.
And so we was divided that, and each group had a leader. So that made it easier for me. And so I was captain on up until what year was that? Brother, I can't recall the year right now, but I do know I was captain for nine years and 8 months to be exact.
Okay.
And after that, I did have I got sick and I went to hospital for a while, and we had a imam, what's his name, brother imam.
Aleem or Sultan?
Yeah, brother Imam Aleem was here, yes. And so he got another sister to be captain, and that was the end of my captain job. So anyway, but it was challenging.
Now, one other question. I saw in the 48 that they used to charge sisters for being overweight.
Yeah, we used to charge them for being overweight.
Wow.
And that was good, and it was a lot of fun in that. And we raised a lot of money doing that.
Wow.
And down here, in this downstairs here, we used to have programs. Every Saturday we raised money. And when I was captain, we raised thousands of dollars for the youngsters Elijah Muhammad.
Alhamdulillah.
And every 6 months we
I kept calling you.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Your name?
Salim Omar.
Salim Omar.
Yes, sir.
What year were you born?
1938.
38. When did you come into the Nation of Islam?
1959.
1959.
In September 1959.
All right. And what type of positions have you held in the Nation?
Well, I started as a doorman, and then I became a squad leader, and then a lieutenant.
The squad leaders, brothers that go out lead the brothers selling papers,
yes,
in little squads.
Yes,
okay.
Then a lieutenant, then the first officer, and eventually the captain.
Okay.
And later on in a period of time, eventually in Buffalo, New York, I became a minister.
Oh, you was a minister in Buffalo, New York. What years?
I have to ask my wife that.
Wow.
I think it was 72 to 74.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What are some of the most memorable and impersonal experiences you'd like to share with the community?
Well, as an individual, in coming in my development, I was a young man just out of the Army, and I came in and had the opportunity to help, you know. And my first experience with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Oh, with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yeah, he called here on the telephone. The secretary came downstairs and told me that the messenger of Allah wanted to talk to me.
Wow.
And so that was a great experience because at that time, you know, I believed he was the messenger of Allah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, royal family.
Yeah.
What was the call about in reference to? What did he want from you?
The call was in reference to some business at the masjid, the temple at that time.
Okay.
And it was a heavy set because here I'm just 23 years old.
Right.
And he was telling me, I spoke to him, he was telling me that he wanted to convey to me that that the present captain is relieved of his post.
Oh, the transition. So you really had. Now, what was that captain's name?
John, the one we just.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. And what year was that?
I really don't know what year, but I think it was in the early 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that was a big transition.
Yeah, it was a big and at the time, we had the FOI call out downstairs. And John was addressing the brothers, the FOI. And I got this message on the telephone.
Wow.
And, well...
Were you second lieutenant, first lieutenant?
First lieutenant at that time. Okay. So John Elijah Muhammad told me that I would be in charge of everything, and that he would get back to me and let me know some further details. But after I hung up, I was stunned.
I could imagine.
And I had to go downstairs and
let Yahya know that he was dismissed?
Yes. But now, Allah bless me, you understand, in doing it, because I think back on it today. I let him finish talking to the brothers and dismissed them and so forth and so on. And then afterwards, I told them in the office.
Okay. Yeah, that was humbling. Yes.
So that was the first I say great learning experience.
It's recording. Go back.
That was the first great experience that I had that pricked my conscience. Yes. You know, as a human being.
I can imagine. And were you a captain during the time that Elijah Muhammad came to D.C. to do couple of the lectures? You were more the captain in this
in the 60s.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was here when he dedicated this mosque. This masjid. And I was a lieutenant then. And I came down.
So then that means this in this picture here is Captain Yahya. You as the first lieutenant?
No, that's me as the captain.
That's you as the captain.
Yeah. Okay. I remember this because we had a snowstorm that day, and I lived up on George Avenue. And at that time, we still had, I think, streetcars running, but they wasn't running that day. It had a snowstorm. I walked all the way down. I was supposed to be here at a certain time, and by walking, I got here late. And when I got here, I came in at the door, and the captain told me to stay on the door and close the door and don't let nobody else in. And Elijah Muhammad was praying. He prayed for about an hour, and that was his time to dedicate the mosque at that time. Wow. And for being tardy, I had to stay at the masjid, and I didn't get to go over to the house.
Oh, okay.
Which was my prior assignment.
Okay, on Staples Street House.
Yeah, on Staples Street.
Okay.
So it was all a good learning experience.
Okay. Now that Staples Street House, they brought that for who?
1122. They bought it from Brother Jake and his wife.
Oh.
No, Brother Elmer. Brother Elmer and Sister Carrie.
Okay.
Yeah, they bought it from them.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts you have you'd like to share with us before closing?
It was a great experience, and I'm thankful to have come through at the time, and at the same time to experience the transition with Imam Wahdi Muhammad.
Yes.
And my greatest experience with him was taking him back to Chicago after 9/11.
Wow.
I said after that, now I know how the Sahabas felt in the presence of the Prophet. You understand?
I hear that. Alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Shukran. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Mujahid Muhammad. One time we did have the University of Islam student include my children in University of Islam, and our students took care of how many students, our student, I was a teacher there. And they want to have a reunion like we did before over there at the Boys Club. That was a big reunion too.
That should be
together.
That should be great because next year will be Masjid Muhammad's 75th year as an organization.
That's right.
And 50 years as a building.
So
it'll be great.
Yeah, because that year our telephone. I know we didn't take it this masjid.
It really would be great. Now, what type of programs or things do the sisters do to help and work with the sisters, network with the sisters? You know, like when they be poor or need, what type of social services or networks
Which we should have
that the
now.
sisters worked with back those days?
Oh, we had so many different things. We had MGT and GTC, and we had the Vanguard, we had the security, we had just everything you could name. And I had been from everything here.